Yes, your attention, please.
Wrestlemania!
Hey yo, everybody listen to me, the professor, who is oozing with machismo, Tyler. And over there, that guy, the Prodigy, the Diamond Stud, Cerulli, Anthony, Chico, Oyave.
Hey yo, right now, it's a survey time. Are you here to see Classic Match Classroom? Or are you here to celebrate the life of the Chico racer Ramon? Survey says one more for the good guys.
I love it. I love it. Both of our Razor Ramon accents are absolutely atrocious, and I love every second of it. It's nice to put a smile on our faces. It's been a tough week, everybody. Obviously, the lesson plan has changed this week. I know we said we were going to do Hogan and Rock. We will do that next week. But we decided in honor of the great Scott Hall to talk about one of his greatest matches of all time. So we will be talking about Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 10. I don't want to do like too much of a career retrospective of Razor here because, you know, I think everybody's done it already. If you want to hear some of that, you can cheap plug, go check out Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. We just did a whole show counting down his top 7 career moments. But I would like to ask you, somebody who's a little bit of the younger generation, what's your take on the Razor Ramon / Scott Hall? Like, what do you know about him being about 20 years younger than me and kind of missing out on him in his heyday?
So cheap plug as well for the Raw Down. We also did a whole career retrospective. And I think what's interesting about, we did the show last Tuesday, and it was weird because, like, obviously, you know, Scott Hall's death has affected everyone in the wrestling community. But for someone like me who hasn't seen him as much, there's obviously a big difference between the memories that I've had with someone like Scott Hall and Razor Ramon compared to a lot of the guys that I was on the podcast with, that they were, you know, they lived with someone like him. And as well as you know, you grew up with someone like Scott Hall. But really, and I said it on the show, my main introduction, I guess you can call it, to Razor Ramon, and, you know, he was always kind of overlooked because when I was kind of looking at legends at a younger age, it was always like, if you were a world champion, you were the top guy. So it was always like your Hogans and your Rocks and your Austins. So someone like Razor never really popped out to me because he was never a world champion. But what really shone a light on him was his Hall of Fame speech in 2014. That's really what kind of stood out to me as being such a way to show that, Razor was one of the greatest talkers, one of the greatest personalities of all time. So that was really like the main thing that really got me into Razor, was just his Hall of Fame induction, as strange as it is to hear.
I mean, it's one of the best Hall of Fame speeches of all time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think, man? You wanna talk a little WrestleMania 10, second week in a row?
Ring the bell, because Class Chico is in session.
I love it. I'll never get sick of our terrible impersonations. Every week. I'll never be sick of them. You got the toothpick in today you had, and the glasses. I'm rocking the NWO today in honor of the man.
Nice.
But, you know, let's figure out exactly who is Razor Ramon here. Something that was very, very legendary and very thought back upon fondly are his opening vignettes to introduce Razor as a character.
Everybody, they want to be like me. Little kids, they want to grow up and be like me. Bambinos, forget about school. What you learn in a book cannot make you like Razor.
Everybody in the WWF
They wishing they could be on top, man. They dreaming of being the WWF champion. They may as well be wishing on a star, man. They may as well be tossing their dinero in a wishing well, like this monkey.
Oh, man!
I'm coming to the WWF. Nobody going to stop me. Nobody going to tell Razor Ramon what to do. El Jefe, Razor Ramon.
So I kind of took about 3 of them. I think there's 8 total. And I took some of my favorite ones and just kind of put them for you to see just exactly who the bad guy was. And I love your take on them. There's one with him in a Cadillac. I think I sent you the one with him spitting the apple at the guy. Is that the other one I sent you? Very Carlito, you know what I mean? A lot of people always compared Carlito to Razor. So what do you think of these opening vignettes?
When you see something like this, and these vignettes were happening around like 92, 93, around that time period, right?
End of 92, yeah.
So this was still around that golden era where you had personalities like Hogan and Savage and Undertaker, all these like larger than life characters. And what's interesting about seeing this is that he still presents himself as this, golden era type of big personality, but there's such a difference to him in the slow swagger, something that we have never seen from any other wrestler up until this point. Because, we've gone back and we've seen a lot of this golden era already with, Shawn versus Marty. A lot of that happened in the golden era. And, obviously Hogan and Savage and Steamboat. You get these like huge personalities just going crazy and shit. But like for Razor, it's very calm, cool, collected. And this whole golden era type character that'll play into one of my next points later on in the show. But I actually had a question for you. How many weeks did these vignettes go on? Because I know that there were a ton of these little videos.
I believe it was about 8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay.
Maybe 6, depending on if they kind of aired a couple after he debuted already. But yeah, there's 8 vignettes, and this is how they brought guys in back in the day.
Yeah, the vignette is definitely a lost art. Like even when I was starting to get into wrestling, they were still pumping out vignettes for a lot of these different characters, and it got you interested. I think now with the whole NXT type, bringing in wrestlers through NXT, the vignette isn't really necessarily needed unless there's a complete repackage of a character. But I like the idea of, bringing in someone that fans don't really know, giving them a new character and hyping them up with these little videos. So yeah, this was a perfect introduction to him.
Yeah, so we're gonna fast forward now about a year later, because they brought Razor in with a big push. They put him right away with Flair and Perfect. He was feuding with Savage and Warrior and right up in that upper mix. He's just coming off his title match with Bret Hart, and he's newly turned face around this time period, putting over the 1-2-3 kid. And we're gonna start off with my boy Jack Tunney. 2 weeks in a row, my God, stripping Shawn Michaels of the Intercontinental Championship due to missed title defenses.
Due to Shawn Michaels' failure to appear for a number of Intercontinental Championship defenses and his refusal to fulfill his contractual obligations, the World Wrestling Federation has no alternative but to suspend Mr. Michaels and thus vacate the Intercontinental Championship. As a result of these actions, next week, a 20-man over-the-top rope battle royal will be held, in which the final 2 competitors will meet the following Monday to determine the new Intercontinental Champion.
Pop quiz. What is the shoot reason why Shawn Michaels was stripped of the Intercontinental title?
That's a good question. I was actually going to ask you that question, but I will say, was he just missing dates? Wasn't showing up?
He got booked for a steroid test.
Oh.
They were doing steroid testing heavily around this time period. Vince was in the middle of his steroid trial, or I guess towards the end of it by this point, somewhere in there. And to this day, though, Shawn Michaels claims that it's a bogus test and he never failed it.
Well, Shawn Michaels claims a lot of things, like he lost his smile. So
Fair.
how many things can he take from me?
Fair. That is very true. For me personally, I love president or authority figures like this. He's just like a legit businessman running a company. I think that's really missed. You know what I mean? I don't need a heel. I don't need a face. Like we talked about last week. Give me that William Regal type of role, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to take us into the Battle Royal the next week on Monday Night Raw. 20 men, 20 of the top superstars at this time period. We're coming down to the final few guys here. You got Razor and the Quebecers and Rick Martel in here. I thought it was fun. I thought that was great to have Razor overcome the odds. And the final two participants going into our title match are Razor Ramon versus Rick Martel. What do you think of the finish of this?
Really fun battle royal. I was surprised that because the character of Razor Ramon, when you bring him in, obviously he's going to be a heel just from those vignettes alone. So I was a little surprised to see him already turn face. But I guess with such a cool and different character that you're seeing around this time, it's hard not to root for him. Yeah. So I don't blame them for making the change. Bobby Heenan on commentary has to be called out here. He is amazing. Definitely shades of 92 Rumble, going for whoever eliminates someone. He's my pick. Savage is my pick. Oh, I knew the Quebecers were going to win.
I love this Adam Bomb line. Adam Bomb's from 3 Mile Island, which is pretty much like Canada. I was like, big pop, big pop.
I want to call out Razor's punches because I think they're just so badass. Just the way that he delivers them is really cool. And I also want to say that his selling is very subtle, but it works so well for his character. He just has that he's not overselling, obviously, especially compared to who his opponent's going to be in at WrestleMania here. But he just does the littlest bit that it keeps up with that realist type of character that we're getting from Razor here. So overall, this was a really fun battle royal. They really put Razor at odds here, and the fans were super behind him. So I think this is really a great way to build up him as a top face. So I think it's working here for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Martel's the right choice here because at this time period, Martel still had a lot of credibility to him. So, being a former tag team champion with Tito Santana, he's one of the upper mid-card heels in the company. I thought he was a great guy for Razor to go up against here.
Sure.
And that's where we take us the next week on Monday Night Raw. The final two are going to meet. For me, I'll just talk a little bit about this real quick. I love Howard Finkel. I thought he was great at the beginning. And I love Rick Martel's sexy saxophone music. Oh, my God. Best theme music ever. Pop quiz for you.
Okay.
When Razor Ramon hands his chains off, and he always says his line, he always hands his change and goes, "Something happened to this gold, something going to happen to you." Who is that person that he's handing the chain to? Did you recognize him?
The Rated R Superstar, my boy, Tony Chimmel.
That's correct. Tony Chimmel getting the threats every week from Razor and eating the toothpick. Let's talk about how great Rick Martel is for a minute here. He does all these little things that I love in a heel. Like when Razor gets to the ropes, he acts like he's won the match. You know what I mean? Yeah. The ref's like, it's the ropes. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I love heel bullshit like that. I thought this was a great little back and forth match. And of course, Razor getting the win with the Razor's Edge. Absolutely huge. Like I said, Martel giving Razor the rub, and what a way to start an IC title run.
Totally. And you talked about Razor, you talked about Rick. Let me talk about Razor for a little bit, because I mentioned earlier on how we're still kind of in that very cartoony-esque phase of wrestling that, larger than life characters and, big moves and all of this. Razor still kind of has that cartoony style of wrestling, but it's in a unique and paced way. It's not very over the top, in your face. It's very laid back, which just keeps adding to this character. That's why I think this Razor character, just from what we've seen from the vignettes and his in-ring work alone, I love everything that he's doing with this character.
He really found himself at this time period too, I always go back to the beginning of '93. Him and Brett had a really great match at the Royal Rumble. But then 6 months later, in June of that year, him and Brett have an even better match, because I think Razor just it clicked, this character clicked for him,
Right. Yeah, you can definitely, especially when you turn him face, I feel like that alone will, with the crowd reaction and everything, I feel like he'll feed into that a little bit more. And I think this character, I said, I'm surprised that they would turn him face, but I think it works really well as a face. And we're going to see that play into the story going forward. The crowd is very behind Razor this entire feud.
Yeah.
he's a great baby face. It makes you wonder why he never won a world title, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, as far as the match goes, like you said, Martel putting him over was really great here. And overall, I think it was just a really fun way and a really great way to give him an IC title.
Yeah, and speaking of IC titles, Shawn Michaels has returned to the company at the Survivor Series 1993, which we talked about last week. He was actually in the Bret Hart match. He captained the team, right?
Right.
So Shawn's back, and the next night on Raw, we've got Razor versus Diesel. Pop quiz for you. Is the bear hug the worst move of all time?
Yes, it is.
I hate me a bear hug. Like I said, Shawn just made his return. You got Razor setting up for the edge, and Shawn's going to run down and hit a super kick. He's going to try to hit a pile driver on Razor, but the 1-2-3 kid's going to make the save. I thought this was a great return for Shawn Michaels, and we're going to find out exactly why Shawn's singling out Razor here and attacking him in our next segment. What do you think of this little angle they shot here?
Good. I liked seeing, Razor and Diesel get at it. Obviously, these guys have so much history, so it was great to see them in the ring together. Shawn's inclusion here is perfect. Now we have a great story going forward with Shawn as one champion and Razor as another champion. I think it's actually, great that we picked this match alone, because not only does this honor the legacy of Razor Ramon, and this is the reason why we're doing it this week, but also, we're going into WrestleMania week, and we have a lot of title unification matches on our hand. Roman versus Brock being the main event of Mania, and even at ROH, Bandito versus Jonathan Gresham is going to be happening to find the undisputed ROH champion. I also love that we're seeing 1-2-3 kid. You get a whole click kind of vibe going on. So I think if any match that we were going to pick, this has to be it for the rivalry itself and obviously the match.
Yes, we planned all of this stuff, the unification. That was all
that was all planned.
Yes,
all planned.
We are very planny people. We got the next segment here. Shawn and Razor going face to face. I was going to ask you a pop quiz, but I told you last night when you texted me and said, who the fuck is Rio? The pop quiz was, who is Rio in real life and who is he impersonating? We are, of course, talking about Bruce Pritchard, who is impersonating Dusty Rhodes. It was short-lived, thank God.
Tyler, if you ever give me a Rio's Roundup clip ever again, I will quit the show.
I'll put myself in detention. I will give a spoiler that Rio is not going to be the honor roll inductee this week.
Thank the Lord. The dishonor roll.
Yes, that could be a new segment. Yeah. We have Shawn Michaels acting like he's still the IC champ. He's never been beat for the belt. I love that. I love that Shawn's acknowledging that his punishment from Tunney says that he answers to no man, and if he wants to go on his boat instead of defend his title, then he's going to do it. I thought that was a really great, stick it to the authority type of line here. Shawn's going to say he's the only IC champ, Chico, and that the Heartbreak Kid is the only one. Shawn Michaels, I butchered that line, but whatever. He is, let me try that again. He is the only IC champ, Chico, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Then we got Razor's music hitting. He says he did things the hard way, and he beat 19 guys to win the belt. He's the real champ. And then I love this little spot where he takes his toothpick and pops Shawn's bubble gum and walks away. I thought this was a fantastic segment. I just loved it.
There is only one undisputed World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Champion, and it is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Whoa, wait a minute! Wait just a minute! Just like my whole life, I gotta do it the hard way, man. I gotta go through 19 of the best, fighting my way from the bottom to the very, very top. And Chico, I like it here.
Yeah, so in my notes after I wrote, what the fuck is Rio's Roundup, all that, then I wrote, I just love this version of Shawn. And I think, I talked about all the great reasons why we picked this match this week. I think another great reason is because Shawn Michaels is in this match. And we've done so much Shawn Michaels already to the point where it's kind of giving me a good outlook on him. When I started watching wrestling, Shawn was my guy. You know, it was at the end of 09. He was, funny enough, he was about to retire. So, you know, seeing, you know, the WrestleMania 25 and 26 matches, it was awesome to really see this type of wrestler in Shawn Michaels. But now that you see the Classroom, you know, like is the trend on this show, I haven't seen a lot of old Michaels, any generation. From what I'm seeing right now, you know, linking up between the Shawn and Marty and now this feud, this is hands down my favorite version of Shawn Michaels. We've seen a lot of 97 Shawn, and I think we both know our opinions on him. But this is, you know, he's got the swagger to him, but he's not overly obnoxious with it. You know, he has that Heartbreak Kid character. You know, you even saw with the Marty feud that he wasn't like so over the top and, you know, like being just obnoxious like he is in going to be in DX in 97. But this version of Shawn I love. He is, you know, he's getting his lines in, you know, sure, he's got that confidence to him and he's a little over the top at times, but it works. He's just got that, like I said, that swagger to him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's why I get so mad at 97 Shawn, because from an in-ring standpoint, he's so much better than he was at 93, 94. He just keeps improving, but the character just drives me nuts. It's bad heat. But then you see like how we talked about Razor finding his confidence. This was Shawn Michaels' Heartbreak Kid and his peak of his confidence, like in this character, at least before he evolved it into suck it, annoying Shawn. And we got a great example of that in the next match here with Shawn versus the 1-2-3 Kid on Raw. Shawn's just sending a message to Razor. You know, he's hitting Kid with Razor's Edge, gets a 1-2, pulls him up, hits him with a second Razor's Edge. Shawn goes for the third one, but Razor's had enough. He runs out, saves the 1-2-3 Kid. Shawn slaps Razor, lures him to the back where Diesel's stand there to lay him out. And then Shawn hits a Razor's Edge on the floor to Razor and then picks him up and hits a second one. I thought this was a really strong angle here.
Definitely. I was also very surprised that Shawn was still not using Sweet Chin Music by this point.
Yeah.
When did he start using this move? Did we ever talk about that as like a finishing move?
Probably the end of 95. His babyface, he turned babyface in the beginning of 95. He got an injury angle to take him out for a few months.
Yeah. And so was he wrestling with a finishing move, or was it just, you know,
kind of I think the pile driver was kind of his move at this point.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he definitely uses this pile driver a lot throughout the feud, and it works very well.
Yeah.
I love the calculated attacks by Shawn. This whole angle, everything works perfectly for Shawn here. Like I'm saying, he's working super well with this character, and it's just painting Razor out as the excellent protagonist in this feud. And Shawn looks strong here. You know, like what you would normally see as like a chicken shit kind of cocky heel. You're getting a lot of good action from Shawn. You know, sure, he has his muscle behind him with Diesel, but two Razor's Edges on the outside. It's a pretty good look for Shawn.
Yeah, and then you know, we'll get into the Royal Rumble 94 here. Razor's facing IRS because they were having a lingering feud carry over about this feud is based around IRS stealing Razor's chains. So, you know, basic and simple. Razor looks to have the match won. The ref's down. He goes for the Razor's Edge, and Shawn runs out and hits him with the belt. IRS gets a pin and is your new IC champ, but then the second ref comes out, explains what happened. The second ref shows the first ref the fake belt, and then Razor hits the edge. You get the win. I thought this was kind of lame. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of this one.
Really? I actually love this. Well, first of all, I just want to say I love Razor's fall away slam. I think that's a great move. Really looks good here. Just all of Razor's moves just look so like clean. And it just, you know, for a guy his size, like to make it look so fluent as he does, it's awesome. And the fall away slam is a perfect example of that. I love this ending. I thought to see IRS getting that pin, I thought we were going to have IRS as a champion for a little bit. But then, you know, every once in a while, there will be another ref that comes out to do a reverse. Not all the time for whatever reason, but once in a while it happens. And it happened here. So, yeah, I thought it was a great ending. I thought it was overall a pretty fun match. Shawn's inclusion keeps that feud going. And we got to see a little bit of IRS. So I thought it was okay.
Me some IRS. I don't like the second ref coming out thing. I think I don't know. I've just never
liked it. That I could have done away with.
Either do it all the time or don't do it at all, you know?
Exactly.
That's going to take us to the next segment here. Razor and the 1-2-3 Kid are going for the tag team titles. And it looks like Razor has this match won, and Shawn runs out and causes the DQ. So now Shawn's making it, personal with Razor. Not only is he saying that he's the real champ, but he's costing Razor other titles, which is costing him money. I really like this too. I thought this was a great way to put some heat on it.
Was this the match that Diesel was walking down the entranceway and he distracts 1, 2, 3, and then Shawn comes in out of nowhere?
Yeah.
With Shawn bolts to the ring. I love that. Fucking out of nowhere. But yeah, like I said, I like that we're just getting this. Shawn always has Razor's number. He's attacking him every chance he gets. I mean, what do you think about this? Because Shawn is definitely he's definitely in control of this feud, if you will. And Razor hasn't really got a lot of offense on him. Do you think it makes Razor look weak? Do you think maybe you could have seen a little bit more Razor offense? I mean, what are you thinking by this point?
I love it. I don't think Razor should be getting offense in right now, because the way that Shawn's doing it is so calculated that Razor shouldn't be getting offense in, and he should be getting pissed off that he can't do it. You know what I mean? Look at the Royal Rumble. Razor's in the middle of a match defending his title. His focus isn't on Shawn Michaels because he's got IRS in front of him. Here he's trying to win the tag team titles. Shawn is just running and sneaking, pop, 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 and getting out of there. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Shawn won't do anything face to face because he knows Razor's going to lay him out, right? Razor looked real strong coming to Shawn's face right at the beginning when he popped his bubble gum and said, "I'm the champ." You know what I mean? That rubbed Shawn the wrong way. Shawn's being a great heel now. It's making me at least want to see Razor actually get his hands on Shawn, because Shawn's just being such a cheap little coward, Throw it over to the man, Todd Pettengill, in the event center. Everybody knows I love an event center, and this is how we get the official announcement of the ladder match.
The Intercontinental Championship is also on the line as champion Razor Ramon takes on the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels in a ladder match. Let's just talk about that for a second. An 8-foot ladder starts in the aisle, and then both Razor's Intercontinental Championship belt and Shawn Michaels' bogus belt are suspended high over the ring. It's simple. The first superstar to grab both belts wins the Intercontinental title. Remember, once the ladder is in the ring, it is definitely in play. And one thing's for sure, after this match, there will only be one Intercontinental belt in the World Wrestling Federation.
Put both belts up. I thought it was great. I love me an event center, man. You know that.
I love me an event center as well. We're pretty familiar with the event center. Stay tuned for more on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Todd Pettengill just shilling I love these event centers because they're 5 minutes long and they run through the entire card in such short amount of time.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought that was great. So this was the second ladder match of all time, right? They said something about Brett was in one. You want to talk about that?
Second ladder match in WWF history. So
right.
Brett brought the idea to the company. This actually was an idea that from the first thing I've heard of ladder matches was from Stampede Wrestling.
Okay.
I think Bad News Brown and Jake might have had one in the 70s. I can't remember exactly the participants in it, but yeah, the ladder match kind of came from Stampede Wrestling, as far as I know. There'd been one in the NWA before. Tully and Dusty had a barbed wire ladder match in the 80s, and but this was the first one that was on TV. The WWF one was released exclusively for Coliseum Home Video.
Okay.
So
what was that match? It was Brett versus
Shawn.
Oh, all right.
And Shawn and Razor actually ran this match on the house show loops as well.
Really? In the ladder match?
Yeah, leading up to WrestleMania, they brought this on the road and got ready for it doing house shows.
I could only imagine being in the crowd for a house show, just seeing a WrestleMania match beforehand, and then going into Mania and being like, "That's gonna happen, and that's gonna happen after that."
Back in this time period though, and especially in the 80s, the house shows is what was the build. People you would do your TV to build the house show loops, right?
Right.
That's how the business works. So leading it to WrestleMania 3, with the exception of Hogan and Andre, on the house show loops, you were getting most of those matches building up to it, or tag matches or 6-man tag matches, right? That was the draw. And then you'd want to shoot your angle at the house show to bring people back the next week. That's kind of how Memphis worked for its entire life. They would do their little studio show to draw to the house show, right? So, Savage and Steamboat ran their match on the house show loop. Razor and Shawn did the same thing. a lot of the big matches got tested out on the house show market.
And I think it's cool every now and then when they like promote a house show. Like we just saw recently that Paul Heyman was talking about the Madison Square Garden show of Brock Lesnar was going to defend his WWE title. And you even got some building up to the WrestleMania match with Roman and Brock at that show. So I like when they put a little bit of emphasis on the house show every now and then.
Yeah, and I like these next two promos we get from Shawn Michaels. And we'll talk about the first one here. Just basically Shawn coming out with Ray Rougeau on Superstars. Love me some Ray Rougeau, by the way. And he's explaining the rules of the ladder match. So back in the day, the ladder match used to start with the ladder in the aisleway, like where it was for this promo. So Shawn picks the ladder up, brings in the ring. And I just thought he did a great job. He did a very good job explaining what the rules are of the match because we'd never seen them before. And I just love the visual of him standing on top of the ladder and the story that he told about working his way up the ladder. I thought this was a really strong promo. And then, of course, I think this was probably the best part of the whole build. And I had to really go back and forth today if I was going to wear my NWO shirt or my Shawn Michaels towel. I wasn't too sure what I was going to show up on the classroom with here.
I think you made the right choice.
I mean, I'm still going back and forth on it. I might, it's not too late, quick wardrobe change. I just thought that this was such a great way to recap the feud here. I love that we're getting Shawn Michaels in character talking about his actions. And this is something that I really wish we could see more of today. Shawn's cutting his promo and then we fade to the clip that he's talking about. And he's like, I did this because of this and fuck you, Razor. And like, I just thought this was so good. And I just want to see more of it.
And you're looking at him. As you know, Razor Ramon has been rapidly climbing the ladder of success.
Whoa. Let's talk about ladders. It's Shawn Michaels who is making the supreme sacrifice by placing his undisputed World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Championship belt 20 feet above the ring in Madison Square Garden at WrestleMania, alongside that bogus belt of Razor Ramon's. When everything is said and done, it'll be the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, climbing that 8-foot ladder to success and taking what is rightfully mine, what has always been mine, the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Championship belt. And that bogus belt of Razor Ramon's, I'm going to give that to my good buddy Diesel. He's earned it.
I'm sure Razor Ramon is looking forward to settling this controversy.
I'm sick and tired of talking about Razor Ramon. I'm sick of talking to you. And don't let the door hit you on the way out. Diesel, get him out of here.
You heard him. Hit the bricks. Get out of here. Hit the bricks.
Thank you, Mr. Michaels.
Get out of here.
Totally. It's definitely painting Shawn out to be more smart than I guess the fans or even the WWE are painting him out to be, WWF, whatever. And I also love that every time we cut to a video and then cut back to Shawn is in a different location in the room or in a different stance or pose. It's so great.
It was good. It was very Shawn for this period too. I thought
Absolutely.
it was good. Yeah, and then the last thing we're going to get before we get to WrestleMania here, we got both guys doing a little promo in an event center. Nothing new from Shawn here because he's already had a few weeks of promos. I really liked Razor's promo here, though, and I really wish that we could have saw a few more promos from him leading up to the build.
Sunday afternoon, March 20th, with an unprecedented match. And who better to give it to you than the main man himself, the Heartbreak Kid, the axis in which the World Wrestling Federation revolves around. Shawn Michaels, a ladder match. 2 belts hanging at the top of Madison Square Garden, along with all those people hanging from the rafters. The Heartbreak Kid is going to be up there taking what is rightfully his, the IC belt.
Yo, boy toy, you say you're the real champ? I say I am. Too much confusion. WrestleMania 10, Chico? Somebody gonna decide. If it takes a ladder ring, no problema. There's no rules, no ref, no time limit. Somebody, Chico, leaves WrestleMania the real champ.
Yeah, I think, like we were talking about, I wish that we saw a little bit more of Razor in this build. Obviously it didn't need to be like, Razor attacks Shawn or does whatever, but even some promos, like it's no secret that Razor is phenomenal on the mic. So putting him in a little bit more of giving his side of the story could have worked a little bit more. But I guess they figured that Shawn's actions spoke for themselves. It doesn't really need to be talked about on Razor's side. But hearing a promo like this and seeing what Shawn's been doing to Razor, I was ready to get into this match for Mania.
Yeah. And before we get into the match, though, we need to know what you thought of the build here. What's your overall take on this?
Yeah, this build worked for me. It was definitely a good way to hype up this match. I was ready to see it. Shawn looked phenomenal in this build. He definitely, pulled out all the punches and really presented himself as a cocky but intelligent heel. Razor really sold me as a great babyface here. Everything he did in the opening stages of this feud, winning the Battle Royal, winning the IC title, all the promos that he did, it really showed you that a character that should technically be a heel definitely works as a face if the fans are into it. All of the extracurricular stuff like Diesel and 123 Kid and everything except for what the fuck was it called? The
Rio's Roundup.
Rio's Roundup. You see, I can't even come up with the name. Everything except for that was really well too. So I'm gonna give this a solid A. I'm going to give this one a good A here. I think there are some things you could have done differently. But I think Shawn looks great. I think Razor looks great. And what else do you need for a good feud to go into a perfect match?
100%. I'm on a B+ here. I think maybe two more Razor promos or one more Razor promo would have put it into an A for me. But a strong B+ for me here. I really like this build a lot.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden. And welcome to Wrestlemania X.
Yeah.
And that takes us to March the 20th, 1994. Like we always say when we talk about the building, Bret Hart says it. It's not a church, but it's holy ground. We have the Intercontinental title on a line, finding out who the undisputed champion is. You have champion in air quotes, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
The bogus champion is
the bogus champion. Absolutely. The bogus champion versus the Intercontinental champion, Razor Ramon. Both belts hung up. It is a ladder match. I don't think I've been more excited for one of your recaps for a match than I am for this one. So I'm really excited to hear your take on this.
First of all, we need to get a sound effect of Brett saying holy ground, so we don't even have to say it anymore. I'll just
I can
pop it in whenever we go to but yeah, let's get into this match. Well, beforehand, let's get into these entrances, because with the ladder on the entranceway, the stage looking as great as it is, obviously the Madison Square Garden stage always looks great. That little just small entryway, Razor going under the ladder. I
love that. I love it. Shawn's like around and Razor's like right under.
Under.
So awesome.
Yeah, so let's get into this match here. I really love the great opening sequence we have of these quick moves. You have a lot of Razor running the ropes here, which just looks really... I love the way he hits the ropes. He just has that like really good energy to him. We're already seeing a lot of speed versus power in this match, and that's kind of the story that you're going to get from the early stages, but it's definitely going to change going on. Razor hits the outside hard as Shawn throws him through the middle rope. And that's actually going to be a trend in this match, is that both Shawn and Razor are throwing each other outside of the ropes to the outside, which I think it's interesting that this is the type of angle we're getting at in this match. The Diesel stuff was all right. I thought it kind of broke up the flow a little bit, but I thought it was fine. Get Diesel out of there. Could have happened a little quicker, but fine stuff there. I wrote in my notes here that both guys are throwing each other outside of the ring, which is just an interesting... It makes sense for the match, I guess. You want to get the other guy out of the ring, get the ladder in, and obviously climb the ladder. So it makes sense what they're doing here. The ladder is used phenomenally in this match. Like I said, there's only one ladder that's used, and I was actually holding my breath that this ladder was not going to break, because there were some points where I thought that it was just going to snap in half, and I wonder... It makes you think, what if it were to snap? What would they do on that point? So it really paints just the sheer danger of it, of the ladder when it's being used as a weapon. Shawn's ass is out. God damn it. But I think, outside of, him mooning New York City, I think this is a really underrated sequence. Like, no one really talks about this part where, Razor gets thrown off of him. Shawn His ass comes out, and then he hits a great elbow drop.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that elbow drop looks really great here. If it wasn't for his fucking ass getting in the way, you know.
That's a Ric Flair 101 right out of the Ric Flair playbook there.
Oh,
right?
sure,
Right?
100%.
That's Sean Love Flair, right?
Yeah, true. Then we get the iconic splash. Obviously, picture perfect moment there. Sean is selling really well here. I think he oversells when it makes sense to do so, but we're not getting 24/7. Hulk Hogan SummerSlam 05 Shawn Michaels here. I think every once in a while it works, but we're not getting over the top here. The use of the ladder, I'll go back to it. It's very simple, but it sets the bar super high for future ladder matches because, from what I see, and I want to break this down a little bit because, you mentioned it, like nowadays you'll get 50 million ladders and you'll get all these contraptions with the ladders, leaning it on the, on this part of the ring and this and leaning it. It's, for a match like this that sets the bar for every other ladder match afterwards. And for them to only use one ladder, the amount of stuff that they were able to do with this one ladder, like I said, sets the bar so high so that other ladder matches, you're going to have to pull from the well here. And I think that's the reason why we see a lot of these multi-ladders and all this, because everything that Shawn and Razor did, that's what you're going to see in all these ladder matches going afterwards. They pulled out all the stops here.
I like that Shawn and Razor and Chris Jericho is really good at doing this too. They use the ladder as a weapon and as another person in the match. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not a spot. It's like this ladder, everything that the ladder was affected or touched had a meaning behind it. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate the little things like that. They're picking up the ladder and hitting each other with it, not propping it and angling it and springboarding it. Like, I just like that sense of realness. Like, hey, this thing will fucking hurt you. I'm going to use it to hurt you. So
that's a perfect way to put it. Perfect way to put it. Getting back to the match. Let me see. Where was I? Shawn off the ropes to knock off. Oh yeah. Shawn gets on the top rope. Razor is climbing up the ropes. Climbing up the ladder. And then Shawn just knocks him off the ladder. Ladder goes crashing down. Razor goes crashing. Just an awesome moment here. So what's interesting here, which I kind of caught on to, is that Razor is the one that's getting more creative with the use of the ladder. Shawn is just using it as a weapon here. Razor was doing a lot of different moves that, to compare to Shawn was just hitting him with the ladder. There was that point where a really great looking move where Razor's laying on the floor. Shawn has a ladder and just spikes the ladder onto him. Razor's getting a little more creative here. I forget exactly what he's doing, but we got a run in from the dog in the background.
Max the dog always making a run in on the show. He's gonna get the diesel treatment and get kicked out of here in a minute.
But yeah, I should have put it in my notes, but there was definitely some ways that Razor was using this ladder in a more interesting way than Shawn was. Shawn was just using it very aggressively, which it's interesting that you get that kind of flip for a very much speed versus power matchup. You would think it would be the opposite way, where Shawn's being a little more creative. But
what I will interject on that, sorry, is I think it's smarter that way because Shawn can't match power with Razor, so the ladder is his equalizer.
True. That's very true. And also Razor is that type of character that he's, he kind of goes out of the ordinary. We've seen it already that he does a lot of things that aren't what you would see from a type of guy his size. So I think him being a little more creative, it kind of fits with his character that we've seen so far. So good call on that. Definitely. That's why they call you the professor after all. We get back-to-back bumps from both Shawn and Razor off the ladder, which just looks vicious. I think Razor went up the ladder first, gets knocked off. Shawn goes up the ladder, gets knocked off. Looks great. I wrote in my notes that I love like the fast-paced sequences we get in between the ladder warfare. What did you think of this? Because it was like we got it at least 3 or 4 times in the match. Do you think it like broke up the flow of like being the ladder as the central focus that you get, ladder, beating up each other with ladders, and then all of a sudden you get like this really, bounce off the ropes type of sequence? What did you think of that?
I like it. I like that they didn't build the whole match around the ladder, that they still wanted to wear each other down, that they're still having a wrestling match around it.
Right.
With the evolution of it, with the high spots and all that stuff, I get where the ladder match went, but yeah, I liked the flow of this match. I thought the ladder had meaning. Like I said, it had meaning every time it was used. it wasn't used just to be used.
True. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Yeah, I wrote in my notes. I like the limitations of just having one ladder because it forces these two to get creative with the ladder, and we definitely see that throughout the match. Shawn knows that he needs to start going to the well to put Razor away here. He pulls out the pile driver, and he also uses the ladder in a creative way right after the pile driver. Very uncharacteristic of him throughout this match. He's trying to just, try to match up with Razor, I guess, try to see what he can do to, just put this away, grab the titles, and call it a day. I love, we get to the ending of this match here. Shawn getting caught up in the ropes, just a perfect spot. Razor pushes him off the ropes. Shawn leaps and obviously lands right onto the groin first, onto the ropes. And then the finish, the ending could have been a bit cleaner on Shawn's end. I think he untangles himself from the ropes a little bit. He untangles himself a bit too soon, and I think Razor is a bit too slow to get the titles. It kind of looked awkward because I was focusing on Shawn the whole time, as would really any fan. Will Shawn make it up the rungs of the ladder? And then Razor's just taking his time to get the titles. I wish it was a little bit more clean, but overall, an iconic finish. We get that shot of Razor with the two belts.
Yeah.
And yeah, what else could you say about this match?
I like the finish a little bit because when Shawn crotches himself, his leg gets tangled in the rope, right?
Right.
So I don't know if you noticed this or not, but he did, I guess, get his leg untangled a little early. And I think he noticed that. So as he untangled his leg, he hooked his arm in and got his arm tangled. So he was stuck by his arm.
So I didn't see that actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that was a nice little, I don't know if that was planned by Shawn, if that was something on the fly, but I liked it because it's like, I got my leg out. Oh shit, I'm stuck again. And then Razor pulls the belt down. Like you said, the iconic moment. I'll go first. A for me. A for me on this match.
Yeah, I'm gonna go A-. I think there were some points that I wish they did a little things differently. I think it was a little slow at some points, and it has to be slow. It's not going to be a fast-paced match 24/7. The Diesel stuff could have been a little faster. The ending, even with the whole arm thing.
I don't know if Diesel can move any faster in that leather he's wearing.
Yeah, I know. The stuff with the ending could have been a little bit better for me, but. I texted this to you yesterday, but I think it's just fascinating that our best friend Dave Meltzer gives this match 5 stars, but he only gave Brett versus Owen, which we did last week, and not to compare. Like I don't, it doesn't matter either way, but he only gave Brett versus Owen 4 3/4, 4.5.
Yeah, figure it out, Dave.
Yeah, I know. Both matches are great. Both matches are very influential. I think. Really, both deserve 5 stars. I'm going more along the route of like an A- here. But overall, if this isn't, we talked about Steamboat and Savage being one of the most influential matches of all time. This is definitely in that top spot of, influential stipulation matches because of not only implementing a stipulation like a ladder and using it as a dangerous weapon, but like you were talking about, using the ladder in a calculated way and not of just a prop, if you will.
Yeah.
Overall, this sets a great tone for ladder matches going on. It sets a high bar, I should say, for ladder matches going on. And I think this was the perfect match to check out for Razor this week to honor him.
I agree 1,000%. I love and miss Scott Hall already. He is the first professional wrestler I ever met. I told that story on Counted Out this week.
You did, and I fucking cannot believe that young Tyler did that.
That's there's 2 times in my life that I can say I've been the most upset, and I've been cheated on by women. I've been broken up with by the loves of my life. What I thought at the time period, and it's when I lost that autograph of Razor Ramon, and when the Cincinnati Bengals lost the Super Bowl this year. Two most upset I've ever been in my entire life. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I thought this was great. I'm glad we made the change and did this week.
Absolutely.
The only thing that's more pressure about trying to honor Scott Hall's legacy for me is trying to pick the right honor roll every week.
Yeah, that's very true. Is it going to be your autograph? That's probably in some type of Canadian mall by this point, or
that would be a great honor roll. And if you guys want to hear that story, I'm going to make you tune into my show because we'd love the clicks. So
Do it. Go over there.
Listen to Count It Out for our tribute. Honor roll for me. There were a couple options for me this week. Sean's towel obviously was up there. Todd Pentongill was obviously up there. But to me, there's only one choice for the honor roll, and I'm hoping that maybe that we can get some audio to go along with it this week, and that is the sexy saxophone music of the model Rick Martel. It's the only option for the honor roll this week.
Perfect inclusion. I knew once you said something about that saxophone music, I was like, all right, I have to find a good place to edit this in. So
it could be our new theme song going forward.
It could be. It definitely could be. We used the Razor theme song this week in honor of the guy, but I mean, in honor of Rick Martel, every week afterwards, I think we're gonna have to use this theme song.
I think at some point I'm gonna challenge you to do this because you are such an amazing editor and you do fantastic stuff. I think that maybe when we hit like episode 50, we should do like a special compilation of like our favorite snippets. So like you play your sexy Rick Martel music, and then you got like Stinger, like all the best, like the greatest hits of our show.
Damn it, Sherry!
Oh wow, put that cigarette out, Sherry. Like all that fun stuff. Like I want all of Gary Busey. What's the TV show? La Femme Nikita.
La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, I want a greatest hits compilation at some point.
That will definitely.
That's
happen.
gonna be your midterm assignment this year.
Hey, maybe it'll be 100 subscriber special. We're what, 75? Let's get those numbers up, folks.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see a little special episode.
Perfect. And next week is a special episode for me because I was there live. We are going to do it. Hogan and Rock from WrestleMania 18. I will give my take on it from being there live. I will maybe after you do your batch rundown, I'll give a live perspective of what I remember.
Cool. Definitely want to hear what you say about this one because, like we said last week, this is the first match that you were actually in attendance for that we're talking about. So, looking forward to next week.
Yeah, man. And I think this was a great episode this week. And like we said, we lost Razor, and it's just sad. It's a tough one for me. I don't really know what to say about it, but maybe we end the show with the famous quote by Razor.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I got nothing else to say. Between the Diamond Stud Anthony, I'm Tyler, and class has been dismissed, chicos.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.